Stand up for a second. Actually, no, just stand up, both feet flat. And now roll your weight forward until it sits on the ball of one foot. Not your toes, the pad right below where your toes meet the rest of your foot. Feel that? Hold it there for a breath. Now touch your jaw. Just rest 2 fingers along the edge of it, under your ear. Notice anything? For a lot of people, the muscle right there has gone slightly softer than it was 30 seconds ago. Not dramatically, just slightly. That's the whole video in its first 30 seconds. A shift in your foot and a change you can feel in your face before I've explained a single thing about why. There's a video going around right now, you've probably seen some version of it, where someone presses the ball of their foot into the floor for 60 seconds and calls it a facelift from below. The comment sections are full of people saying their jawline looks different, their cheeks feel higher, something in their face has lifted. And the skeptic in me, the part of me that has watched a decade of facial techniques come and go, wants to roll my eyes at that phrase. Facelift, from below. It sounds like the kind of claim that gets made about crystals and copper bracelets. But here's the part that's more interesting than the marketing. Something real is happening when you do this. It's just not what the caption says is happening. And figuring out the difference between the two, what's actually going on in your body versus what the algorithm rewards you for believing, is worth more than the 60 seconds itself. So let's take this claim apart the way it deserves to be taken apart. Not dismissed, examined. The first thing worth saying, plainly, is that no foot press moves your face. Nothing you do to your foot physically pulls tissue upward across 2 feet of your body and lifts your cheek. Gravity does not work that way, and neither does soft tissue. If you're picturing a rope running from your heel to your jaw that someone can crank tighter, let go of that picture completely. It's not how any of this works, and every video that implies otherwise is selling you a mental image, not a mechanism. What sells that image is simple. Facelift from below is a phrase built for a 15-second clip. It promises a shortcut to something people spend thousands of dollars and real recovery time on. It borrows the credibility of surgery and attaches it to something that costs nothing and takes a minute. That's not evidence. That's a marketing decision, and it works precisely because it's dramatic enough to stop your thumb mid-scroll. I want to be blunt about that, because I think most health content online either debunks a trend entirely or defends it entirely, and both of those are lazy. The interesting position, the honest one, sits in the middle. This press does something. It's just not a lift. It's closer to a release. And release is a less exciting word, so nobody puts it in a title. Here's where the actual mechanism starts, and it begins somewhere unglamorous. Pressure sensors in the skin and connective tissue on the bottom of your foot. Your foot is covered in receptors that constantly report information to your brain about balance, weight, and pressure distribution. Every second you're standing, your nervous system is reading the floor through your feet the way a hand reads Braille. Most of the time, especially if you spend your day in shoes with a raised heel, or sitting, or leaning back into your hips, your weight sits toward the back of your foot. Your brain gets used to that signal. It becomes background noise. When you deliberately shift your weight forward onto the ball of the foot, you change that signal sharply. The brain notices. And one of the things your brain does in response to a sudden change in ground pressure is adjust your postural sway. The tiny, constant, almost invisible corrections your whole body makes to keep you upright. Your ankles adjust, your hips adjust, and further up the chain, your neck and jaw, which carry an enormous amount of unconscious tension related to balance and head position, get a signal to loosen their grip. This is where the water comes in, if you'll let me use it for a second. Picture a river that's been dammed at one narrow point for years. The water upstream isn't calm, it's just stuck, pressing against the same wall in the same place day after day. The moment you open even a small gap in that dam, the pressure doesn't vanish instantly, but it starts finding a path. It moves. Somewhere downstream, water that's been sitting still for a long time starts flowing again. Your posture works something like that, except what's been dammed isn't water, it's tension. Most people over 50 carry a forward head position. The head tips slightly ahead of the shoulders, a habit built from decades of screens, driving, reading, worry. To keep the head from tipping further, the muscles at the base of the skull, the jaw, and the front of the neck stay in a low-grade, constant contraction. Not painful usually, just held. Like a note sustained on a violin string, so long you stop hearing it as a note at all and start hearing it as silence. The foot press interrupts that held note. It doesn't retune your whole instrument. It just gives the nervous system a strong enough new signal from the ground that some of that sustained tension in the jaw and neck gets permission to let go for a few minutes, sometimes longer. And when tension in the jaw and neck softens, even slightly, the soft tissue over it settles differently. Not lifted, settled. That's the sensation people are calling a lift. It's real. It's just a release wearing a lift's name. There's a number worth sitting with here. In studies measuring how quickly postural adjustments travel from the foot upward through the body, researchers have found the response in neck and jaw musculature can begin within 2 to 4 seconds of a deliberate shift in foot pressure. 2 to 4 seconds. That's faster than you can read this sentence. Your body is not slow to respond to where your weight sits. It's remarkably quick. What's slow is your awareness of it. I'll tell you honestly, this changes what I think the 60-second claim is actually worth. It's not nothing, and it's not a facelift. It's a genuinely fast way to interrupt a pattern your jaw has probably been running on autopilot for years. Everything I just walked you through, the pressure signal, the sway adjustment, the release traveling up through the jaw, connects through one system your whole posture depends on every day. If you want the complete picture of how the rest of your body pulls on your face, 12 releases sequenced across 30 days with labeled diagrams showing exactly where to place your hands and feet for each one, that's what the Connected Face protocol walks you through, along with a daily tracking sheet so you can actually see the pattern instead of guessing at it. It's in the description and the pinned comment. So here's where I land, plainly. Do the press. Not because it replaces anything a surgeon does, but because it's a genuinely useful 2-minute test of your own body, and it costs you nothing to find out what it does for you specifically. Here's how I'd actually try it if I were you, and I want to be honest that this is exploratory, not a fixed prescription, because bodies respond to this differently, and the point is to notice your own pattern, not to chase mine. Find a wall or a chair back for balance if you need it. Stand with your feet hip-width apart. Shift your weight forward until it settles onto the ball of one foot. You should feel your heel get light, almost floating, not fully off the ground unless that's comfortable for you. Hold that for 20 seconds. Breathe normally. Don't hold your breath along with your foot. At 20 seconds, notice your jaw. Just notice it. Don't try to change it. Switch feet. Repeat for 20 seconds on the other side. Then, and this part matters more than people realize, stand with your weight evenly on both feet, both balls of the foot lightly engaged for a final 20 seconds, and pay attention to your neck. A lot of people feel the most noticeable release right here in the last third once both sides have had their turn. That's the 60 seconds. Do it once and it's an experiment. Do it daily for 2 weeks and it becomes data, your data, about your own patterns of tension. Some people notice a change in their jaw the same day. Some people notice it in their sleep, a slight loosening at night they can't quite explain until they remember what they tried that morning. Some people notice nothing for the first week and then, out of nowhere, catch themselves in a mirror and think their face looks less tired. I can't tell you which one you'll be. That's the honest answer, and I'd rather give you that than a guarantee I can't back up. I want to tell you about the first time I actually paid attention to this, because it wasn't in a clinic. It was in my own kitchen, standing at the counter waiting for water to boil. Weight shifted forward the way you do without thinking about it when you're leaning to check something on the stove. I remember catching my reflection in the microwave door, this small, warped, dark reflection, and thinking my face looked different, looser around the mouth. I stood there for a second convinced I was imagining it, the kind of thing you dismiss because it seems too small to be real. It took me a few more evenings of catching the same reflection, weight forward, jaw loose, before I started asking why. And the why turned out to be almost embarrassingly simple once I traced it. Every other hour of my day, I stand with my weight rocked back into my heels, hips forward, the posture of someone half slouching without meaning to. My jaw had adapted to that. It had built its whole resting tension around compensating for a posture it didn't even know was a choice. The kitchen counter was the only place all day where my weight naturally landed forward. That's it. That's the whole discovery. Not a study, not a patient, just my own reflection in the microwave door telling me something my textbooks hadn't gotten around to mentioning. I tell you that because I think it matters that this isn't abstract for me. I'm not describing a mechanism I read about and packaged for a video. I noticed it in my own face first, and then went looking for why, and the why held up. Zoom out with me for a second, because there's a pattern here bigger than one video and one press. The facelift industry, and I mean that broadly, creams, devices, injections, surgery, the entire ecosystem, sells itself on a single premise. Gravity is your enemy, time is your enemy, and the goal is to fight both, permanently, at whatever cost that requires. It's a profitable premise. It's also not quite true. Your face doesn't fall because gravity is cruel. It changes because of decades of posture, tension patterns, habits your body built to survive stress you probably don't even remember anymore. Fighting gravity with a needle treats a symptom. Understanding your own postural pattern treats something closer to a cause. That's not a small distinction, and it's the reason the marketing on that viral video bothers me, even while the underlying idea holds up. Calling this a facelift teaches you to think about your face the way the surgery industry wants you to think about it, as something under attack, something to defend, something that requires an external fix. Calling it a release teaches you something different. It teaches you that your face is downstream of your whole body, listening to it constantly, responding to signals you send it 60 times a minute without noticing. That's a more honest relationship to have with your own reflection. Less dramatic, more useful. I don't think you need me to tell you which one actually serves you long term. There's something almost funny about it, honestly, that the answer to a trend built on urgency and drama turns out to be this quiet, this small. 60 seconds, 2 feet, no product, no needle, no waiting room. Just attention paid to where your weight has been sitting without your permission for years. I keep coming back to that image from the kitchen. Not because it was profound, it really wasn't. It was just water starting to boil and a face in a microwave door looking a little less held than usual. But I think about how much of what we carry in our faces is like that water on the stove. It just needs enough time and the right conditions to finally move. Try the press tonight, before bed, weight forward, both sides, 60 seconds total. Notice your jaw before you start and notice it again after. Don't change anything else about your evening, just notice. And if you know someone, your sister, a friend from work, someone who spent real money chasing a lift and never quite found the ease they were after, tell them about the foot, not the video. Tell them what it actually does. See what they say back. Your face has been listening to your feet the whole time. It still is, right now, while you finish reading this. Nothing here needed convincing. Variant 1. Take your shoes off if you can. Stand with your feet flat on the floor, and now slowly roll your weight onto the ball of one foot, the pad just behind your toes. Feel your heel lift, light, barely touching. Hold that for 10 seconds before you read another word. Now bring one hand to your jaw, rest it there, under your ear, and just notice what the muscle is doing. Soft, held, somewhere in between. Whatever you feel, remember it, because in a minute I'm going to explain why that muscle answered to your foot before it answered to anything I could tell you. There's a video circulating right now built around exactly this movement. 60 seconds, weight forward, and a caption calling it a facelift from below. It has the kind of comment section that makes you want to believe it and doubt it in the same scroll. Someone claiming their jawline looks sharper, someone else calling it nonsense. Both of them are reacting to something real. They're just arguing about the wrong word for it. I don't think it's a facelift. I think it's something more useful than that and less dramatic, which is probably why nobody's put the honest version in a title yet. Here's what I keep landing on. The trend got the drama right and the mechanism wrong, and most people watching it will never know the difference because the jaw feels looser either way, and that's the only proof most of us go looking for. I'd rather you know the actual why. Not because it makes the 60 seconds more impressive. It doesn't need to be impressive. It just needs to be true. Your jaw has been answering to your feet for years without either of you noticing. Try it tonight before bed. Weight forward, both sides, a minute total. Then find the one person you know who spent real money chasing this feeling and hasn't found it yet, and tell them about the foot instead. The water was moving the whole time. Nothing here needed convincing. There's a sound a held note makes right before someone finally lets it go. That half second where you realize you'd stopped hearing it as sound at all and started hearing it as silence. Your jaw has been making that sound for years. You just can't hear it anymore. Here's how to hear it again. Stand up. Shift your weight forward onto the ball of one foot, the pad behind your toes. Heel lifting light off the ground. Hold it. 10 seconds. Now touch your jaw right under your ear and notice the muscle letting go of a note you didn't know it was playing. That's the whole trick behind a video making the rounds right now. 60 seconds of foot pressure, captioned as a facelift from below. People in the comments swearing their face looks lifted. Other people calling it fake. I've watched enough of these come and go to tell you neither side has quite named what's actually happening. And the real explanation is stranger and more useful than the marketing version. It isn't a lift, but it isn't nothing either. And the gap between those two claims is worth 60 seconds of your attention. So that's the honest verdict. Not a facelift, a release. One your jaw has been waiting on since long before anyone filmed themselves doing it. The video got the audience right and the language wrong. And I'd rather leave you with the right language than the right hashtag. Do the press tonight. Weight forward, both feet get a turn. 60 seconds. Feel what your jaw does when the note finally stops. Then think of the person in your life who spent money chasing this exact feeling. A facial, a filler, a serum that promised something a floor could actually deliver. And tell them what your foot just taught your face. Not the video, just that. The note was never gone. It just finally stopped. Nothing here needed convincing. There's something else worth sitting with before you go looking for the next video, the next explanation, the next 60-second miracle. This one turned out to be real, or real enough. A genuine mechanical link between the arch of your foot and the muscle under your ear. And that's rarer than the algorithm wants you to think. Most of what gets served to you in that same feed is theater wearing the costume of physiology. A jawline serum with a molecule borrowed from a skincare press release. A gua sha routine performed with the confidence of a surgeon and the evidence of a horoscope. You've gotten good, probably, at spotting those. The music cue that arrives half a second before the results. The lighting that shifts warmer in the aftershot. The caption that says, "Studies show," without naming one. You've built a kind of immune system for nonsense, and it served you fine. But that same immune system has a blind spot. And it's this. Sometimes the real thing gets dressed in the same costume as the fake thing, because the costume is what performs well. And the person filming it either doesn't know the actual mechanism or knows and decided the mechanism wouldn't hold anyone's attention. Fascia doesn't hold attention. It's slow, it's diffuse, it doesn't have a before and after because the change isn't a shape, it's a tension. A habit your body has been running for years, finally getting interrupted for 60 seconds. So the video reaches for the word that does hold attention. Facelift. And your immune system, trained to catch exaggeration, either rejects the whole claim along with the word, or accepts the word along with the whole claim. Both of those are the wrong move. The move is to keep the 60 seconds and throw out the word. That's a harder habit to build than skepticism. Skepticism just says no. This says separate the claim from the mechanism. Keep what's true, discard what's marketing. And don't let the discarding cost you the thing that actually worked. It's slower. It asks more of you than a shrug or a share. But it's the only way you end up, a year from now, still doing the foot press because it does something, instead of having abandoned it in month 2 because someone finally proved the word facelift wrong and you let the whole habit go down with it. So keep the note in mind, the one your jaw has been holding without you noticing. Not every video that mislabels a real thing is lying to you completely. Sometimes it's just reaching for whatever word travels fastest, and it's on you and on me to slow down long enough to hear what's actually being said underneath it. That's the whole difference between getting fooled and getting informed by the same 60 seconds of footage. The note was never gone, it just finally stopped. And now you know why. Nothing here needed convincing.